Welcome to week 3, day 2 of the Strive to Thrive program. Today we're going to focus a lot on activating our core muscles, which we're going to do with a lot of standing exercises today, but you will still need a chair nearby, so make sure you do have that. And you'll also need a blank wall, just enough room for you to stand against, so make sure you're near that today as well. We're going to go ahead and start with a standing warm-up, and then we'll get into our exercises. So while you're here, let's make sure you stand up nice and tall, and we're just going to start out marching. Add in some arm swings. As always, I want you to be comfortable with all of these exercises we do. So if that means you need to be by your wall or your chair to hold on to, feel free to do that at any point. Right now, we just want to focus on warming up our muscles, getting the blood flowing, and then we'll have some fun strengthening our core. Just marching at your own pace for now. Now from here, I just want you to tap those toes forward and add in the chest press. Focus on trying to squeeze those shoulder blades together as you pull the elbows back. You're just focusing on shifting your weight from one side to the other, and you're also warming up your chest and back a little as well. Okay, now from here, we're going to take it into our heel taps. So start out alternating with those heel taps and add in those arm curls. Almost done with this one. Okay, you can stop with that. Now we're going to add in some lateral movement or some side-to-side movement. So give yourself just about enough room to step to one side and back. And all you're going to do is exactly that. Step, touch, step, touch. So start out here. I want you to make sure you're looking straight ahead. You're not looking down at your feet. Your shoulders are down and back, your chest is out. And we're just touching each side, barely touching as we step with this other foot. Okay, now that you're comfortable with this, we're going to make it a little more challenging, make our brain work a little, and just add in some overhead reaches. So this one, you're going to reach up each time you step and touch. Just reaching up. If you have any shoulder issues, you may want to keep your arms a little bit lower here. Sometimes the arms and the brain and the feet have a hard time comprehending this. So if this is challenging, just try to move your arms and your legs at the same time and move your arms however they choose to move. Good, okay, you can stop with that one. Next up, we're going into our 4-count wide marching, starting with our right foot. So just as a reminder, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and in 2, 3, 4. So we'll start with the right leg, and then I'll tell you when to switch to that left leg. So go ahead, stand up tall. As always, try to stay looking ahead rather than down at your feet. Here we go. Out, 2, 3, 4, and in 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, in 2, 3, 4. Last time in, and stop. Okay, same thing, now just leading with the left foot. Here we go. Out, 2, 3, 4, and in 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Awesome job with that one. Now we're going to warm up our hips a little bit, kind of the front and the back to start, and then we'll move to the side. So for this one, I definitely want you holding on. Whether that's the wall or your chair, you want to check your surroundings to make sure you won't kick anything, because we're going into our leg swings here. So grab a hold of whatever you've got, stand up tall. We're going to start swinging the left leg first. Let's begin. Try to really focus on kicking your leg back and make sure it's as straight as it can be. That's going to help warm up the hip flexor muscles, which can get tight if you're doing a lot of sitting during the day. Okay, let's take it to the other side now. Now we're swinging that right leg forward and back. So get in position, hold on as you need to, and let's swing. Stand tall. Little longer here. And go ahead and stop. Okay, now we're doing our leg swings side to side. So again, holding on as you need to. And you're just going to start out with that left foot, bringing it in front of the right foot and out to the side. Let's begin. Okay, take it to the other side, same thing. Should feel this a little bit more on the sides of your hips now. You don't have to go out very far with that leg swing, just to your comfort level. Good, and stop. Okay, now we're going to move on to our upper body. We're just going to start with some arm circles. So bring those arms straight out to the side. Give me some small forward circles to start. And just as a reminder, if you have any shoulder issues, you can keep your arms a little lower instead of up higher like we are. Give me a little bit bigger circles. And big circles. Okay, switch directions. Start small. Get a little bigger. And big circles. And relax. Shake out those arms if you need to a little bit. Those work the shoulders. Last warm-up exercise you're going to do. Bring the arms nice and wide to the side and give yourself a hug. And just alternate through those, switching which arm is on top each time. Making sure that as you give yourself a hug, you're trying to kind of arch that upper back, pushing it back to stretch the upper back. When we bring our arms out, we're stretching the chest. And stop. Okay, hopefully that got you warmed up. Now you're really ready to go. So like I said, we're doing some core activation exercises today, which may sound scarier than it really is, but I just really want you to learn how to control and engage your core while we're standing. So the first exercise is actually going to be a relatively simple one, but it does take a little time to maybe get the feel of it. So this is when you want to be by your wall. You're going to stand against the wall. Your feet are about 6 to 8 inches away from the wall and about hip width apart. So once your feet are set, you're actually going to lean up against the wall. Give a slight bend in your knees. What I want you to do is take one of your hands and place it in the small of your back, if you're able to. And then what we're going to do is I want you to imagine pulling your belly button back towards your spine, which will cause your hips to tilt a little bit. And what you're doing is you're pressing that low back into the wall. So you're pressing against your hand if it's back there. If your hand's not back there, you're just pressing your low back against the wall. Okay? So this is what I mean when I say activate your core. It's really important to help protect our low back when we're doing stuff. And sometimes this is a good way to practice getting the feel of activating your core. So we're just hanging out here. I want your low back to maintain flat against the wall until I tell you to rest. Try to get your shoulders back as far as you can towards the wall also. You may not be able to get all the way back, but do the best you can while maintaining a flat back with your low back. Again, your knees are slightly bent, they're not locked out or anything like that. And let's relax. Okay, you can come up off the wall. Hopefully you kind of feel how that works those core muscles. It's a very simple exercise, but it's actually helping strengthen your core muscles and kind of training your brain and your muscles to help you activate your core, because the rest of the exercises today and throughout this program are really going to work on activating your core. So if I'm saying engage your core, activate your core, anything like that, this is the exercise I want you to think about when we're going through those, is really kind of tucking those hips forward and just pretending you're pressing your low back against a wall, even if we're not up against a wall. So let's practice one more time. Start out by getting your feet set. You want your weight evenly distributed. Your feet are hip width apart. 6 to 8 inches away from the wall is usually a pretty good amount. Go ahead and lean back against the wall and press that low back towards the wall. Sometimes it just helps to have your hand back there to think about pressing against your hand, but you don't have to. And the goal is that once your core is activated and your low back is flat, you can't actually press your hand behind your low back. Try to get those shoulders back the best you can, even kind of tucking your chin back a little. You're looking straight ahead and you're just standing nice and tall with good posture. You're also remembering to breathe. We're just holding it here a little bit longer. Feel those core muscles working. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, go ahead and relax. Great job with that. Now you really get the idea when I tell you to activate your core or engage your core, what that feels like. So I hope you remember that. This is always a great exercise to come back to if you need a little reminder of how to activate your core if we're not against the wall. So now we're going to put it into practice with some exercises not against the wall. Imagine that. So, standing away from the wall but near the wall or chair to hold on to if you need to. Get the feet about hip width apart. You want it so your weight is evenly distributed between the toes and the heels. You're standing up nice and tall. First thing we're going to do, as you may have guessed, is just practice activating our core while standing here. So one thing you can do is put one hand on your stomach, one hand on the small of your back. Think about pressing that low back against your back hand. Sometimes that's a good visual because we want to take out that arch from our low back and just make it flatter. So if you need to, you're tucking those hips and then you're standing tall. Remember, it's not just sucking in the stomach. You're pressing back against the wall and we're just standing here to start. So try not to get too hunched over. I want you to stand up tall. I know sometimes that's hard to maintain an activated core while you're standing tall, but the idea is that the more you practice this, the stronger your core will get and the easier the exercise will become. And relax. Okay, I hope you remembered to breathe during that as well. Sometimes you're so focused on everything going on that we forget to breathe, but breathing is important. Okay, we're doing that one more time, and then we're gonna just step it up a notch. So we're still practicing. I really want you to get comfortable with this. So get your feet set, stand up nice and tall. Again, one hand can be placed on the stomach, one can be on the low back if that helps you, but if you don't need it, that's okay too. And I want you to just think about bringing your tailbone under your body as you press your back, your low back against your back hand or against the wall. If I say press the low back into the wall, you now know what I mean, whether we're standing against the wall or not. Okay, you don't have to keep your hands there once you get into that position. It can just kind of help you as you get into that position. We're holding it here. Get those shoulders down and back. You're breathing. You just feel those core muscles firing. Who knew you could work the core just by standing here like this? Also check the knees. Make sure they're not locked out. You want a slight bend in them. And go ahead and relax. Come out of that position. Shake it out a little if you need to. Okay, now that you're comfortable with that, we're going to add a little bit of rotational movement into the exercise. So what I mean by that is you're going to get back into that position. This time you're going to bring your hands out in front of your chest together with your arms straight. While maintaining that core that's activated, you're going to twist to one side and then slowly twist to the other side. So the movement is initiated from those core muscles. Your shoulders are relaxed and you're just slowly twisting. We're not trying to go fast here, but this is going to work a little bit more on the sides in those obliques. So let's give it a try. Feet are hip width. Tuck the tailbone under, pressing the low back towards that wall. Bring your hands out. If you have shoulder issues, you can also bring your hands a little bit closer and kind of bend your elbows here instead of out all the way. But make sure whatever you're doing, you relax those shoulders, keep the core activated, and let's rotate. So twist slowly to one side, just as far as you're comfortable. Come back to center and twist to the other side. So you'll also notice while you're doing this, the weight shifting between your feet. You're breathing. You're keeping your shoulders relaxed. We're just twisting side to side while still remembering to keep our core activated. And go ahead and rest. Awesome job. That's called a wood chop. So now we're going to pretend we're golfing and do a low to high wood chop. So if you are a golfer, you may be familiar with this, at least on one side. It may feel a little awkward on the other side. Same idea. This time we're going to start at the right hip with our hands together, and we're actually rotating up towards the left side. So it is like that golf swing. Whether you golf or not, it's okay. You don't have to look like a pro golfer by any means. Okay, feet are hip width. Knees are slightly bent. Tuck that tailbone under to press your low back against the wall. Bring your hands together, starting at that right hip. And let's begin. Just rotate up slowly towards the left and then back down towards that right hip. We'll do this side and then I'll let you know when we're switching sides. Basically, your eyes just kind of follow your hands throughout the motion as well. Still breathing. A little longer here. Come back to your hip and relax. Okay, now this is when if you're a right-handed golfer, this one might feel a little awkward. Luckily, if you're a lefty, you're in luck. So same thing, left hip. Now we're coming up to the right side. Okay, let's give it a try. So hands together, arms straight. Come up towards the right. Keep that core activated. Slow and controlled is the name of the game. Come back down to the hips and relax. Okay, you may have felt that in the shoulders. You can shake out your arms a little if you need to. Awesome job with our different wood chops. Hopefully you're really getting really good at activating your core, and it's something where it's just good to practice. You know, you can always do it and just stand there and think about activating the core. It's not only going to help improve your core strength, but it's also going to help strengthen all these muscles around here that can help with the low back and just posture and everything like that. So really good stuff to do. Now this next one is when you're going to want your chair nearby, but you can also do it on a counter. A counter height is usually a good modification if your chair's a little bit too low, because we're actually going to do a chair plank. So the way this one's going to look is I do want you to, if you're using your chair, I want your chair pressed up against a wall. That's going to help prevent the chair from sliding, because this is a little precarious if it's not against a wall. So I'm going to show you with a chair, and then I'll explain how you can do it on a counter as well. But what we're going to do, for me, I'm going to probably use the handles, but I'll also show the chair as well. So all you're doing is you're getting in a nice straight line with your body, and you're just going to hold that position. So you're nice and strong here, your core is still activated. Think about pulling that belly button back, and you're just going to be here. If you want to make it a little more challenging, you can be on the seat of your chair, which is a little lower, but I want you to notice that my shoulders are directly above my wrists. And another option if you have wrist issues is to come on your elbows, your forearms, and then your elbows are below your shoulders. So those are a few options on the chair. If the chair's a little too low or you don't feel comfortable with that, you can do the same thing on a kitchen counter, bathroom counter, whatever, wherever you have the most room, I guess I should say. Same thing, you're just going to lean on that counter and keep your body nice and straight. So I want you to prevent your hips from being too high in the air or sagging too low. We're going to hold this for 30 seconds. So I want you to do what you can, and if the 30 seconds seems like too long, obviously stop if you're uncomfortable. Let's go ahead and get in position, however you want to do it. Get ready, and begin. So your feet are about hip width. You're looking just in front of your hands if you're resting on your hands. If you're on your forearms, you're kind of looking between your thumbs. You're keeping that core activated, but you're not hiking your hips up too high or dropping them too low. You really want to focus on pulling that belly button back and keeping a nice straight line in your body. Okay, awesome job, you made it. Go ahead and slowly walk back up. Sometimes this can cause a little bit of a blood flow rush to the head. So take your time getting up, sit down if you need to, just kind of, if anything happens there, scratch that. Take your time getting up. Sometimes when we get up too fast, the blood can rush to our head and we can feel a little lightheaded or dizzy. So if you need to, go ahead and sit down. But awesome job with that plank. We're just gonna plank once today. I wanted you to get the feel for it. This is something you can even do in your kitchen if you're waiting for your coffee to brew or anything like that. You can just hold a plank position and work on shoulder stability and core strength as well. Okay, awesome job with that. Now we're moving on. This next one, we're going to be pretending to ride a bicycle, I guess you could say. And I want you to bring your hands up just kind of next to your ears. You're not actually going to pull on them at all. And we're going to do what's called a standing bicycle crunch. So for this one, you're going to bring one knee up towards the opposite arm and then switch. So you're shifting your weight first and crunching. Holding on if you need to, being behind your chair, next to the wall, anything like that. Let's give it a try. I really want you to focus on getting that crunching motion in, so you don't have to touch the elbow to the knee, but I want you to get that crunching motion in to work on strengthening those core muscles. This is also a balance and coordination exercise. I like to keep the hands just kind of at my side here of my head, just because sometimes if our hands are behind our head, we're more likely to pull on our neck, which is not good for our neck. And stop. Okay, awesome job with those bicycle crunches. We're gonna move right along to our next exercise. This one is going to be just a basic side bend. So what I want you to do is bring your left hand on your hip. Your right hand is actually just going to slide directly down your leg, and then you're going to stand up. Pretty simple, but I do want you to stay leaning tall. Stop. It's a pretty simple exercise, but I do want you to stand tall the entire time rather than hunch over and lean down. So get your left hand on your hip, stand up tall, chest out, shoulders down and back, and let's just slide that right arm down and stand back up. So what you should notice with your left hand on your hips or kind of on your waist is that this left side is really working to pull you back up. So obviously we'll do both sides, and we're just strengthening those oblique muscles on our sides. Just reaching down as far as you're comfortable, still breathing. Okay, stop. Other side now. Right hand on your waist or your hip, wherever it's comfortable. Left hand is going to be sliding right down your leg. Stand up nice and tall, and let's begin. We've just got one more exercise after this, and then we'll do some of our stretches. So stay with me the entire time. You can do this. One more, and stop. Awesome job. Okay, last core exercise we're doing for the day is going to be another one that requires some balance and coordination, and it's just kind of fun. So what you're going to do, we did this sitting, now we're going to do it standing. You're going to bring your arms up, and you're going to bring the leg up like it were to go between your hands. I don't need you to go all the way down, but you're just going to crunch and bring the one leg up at a time, shift the weight, and switch legs. If you have shoulder issues, you can just kind of do it this way, where you're not necessarily having those hands over your head. And if this is a little too challenging for you, you can also just hold on to the wall and crunch this way without using the hands. That way you can hold on for balance as well. You can hold on to the wall or your chair. Okay, let's give it a try and begin. Give me 30 seconds and then you're done with your exercises and we'll move on to the stretches. You're shifting the weight and you're crunching, bringing that leg up even if you can't get it up very high. That's okay. You're doing the best you can. You're still breathing. You're working hard for 2, 1, and stop. Awesome job. You made it through those exercises. Hopefully you feel those core muscles being worked. So let's do some standing stretches. I want you to go with the back of your chair to hold on to, and we're going to start out just stretching our hip flexors. So I like to be on the side, but you can also go behind the chair. You're going to step back with the right foot nice and big. You're on the ball of the right foot. I want you to bend both knees and tuck that tailbone under. You should feel a nice stretch right here in the back leg, in that hip flexor area. Like I said, you can be facing your chair this way too. However you choose to hold on, just make sure you're standing up tall. You're on the ball of that back foot, and both knees are bent. The important part is also tucking that tailbone under, kind of like we're activating the core. That's going to give you a good hip stretch. Okay, let's switch feet. Now bring that left foot back. Big step back. You're on the ball of that left foot. Bend both knees. Tuck the tailbone under. Standing up tall, looking straight ahead. Just noticing how good this stretch feels. Because once again, we are definitely working those hip flexors today with some of those exercises we did. And go ahead and relax. Okay, now we're going to stretch kind of at the sides of our legs and our IT band and the hips. So you can start out with the chair on your left side. Bring the right leg behind the left leg with the weight mostly on the right leg. Stick your hips out to the right and reach over towards the left. Really reaching. Get a good stretch all the way down that right side. Make sure that your left shoulder's relaxed. Bring it back to center. Now I want the chair on your right side. Let's bring the left leg behind the right leg. Stick your hips out to the left. Bring the left arm up and reach over. This time feeling the stretch all the way down the left side. Bring it back to center. Just a few more stretches to finish off. Next, I want you to stand up nice and tall. Okay, now we're going to clasp our hands behind our back if you're able to, and I want you to pull back and lean slightly back so your chest is up towards the ceiling. If you're comfortable with this, just a little bit of leaning back, feeling the stretch in the chest and a little bit of the shoulders and the front of your arms. Okay, and relax. Now bring your arms out to the side and just pull back slightly while standing up nice and tall. Stretching the chest a little differently here. Bring those arms down. Roll those shoulders back a few times. Okay, bring those shoulders down and back. Bring one ear to your shoulder. Keeping the shoulders square. Get a nice stretch on this opposite side of the neck. And take it to the other side. Bring it back to center and relax. Awesome job today. You're doing so great. I can't wait to see you for week 4. Thanks again for joining me today.